from the Ticats Audio Network. This is Ticats Today with Louis Butko.
Yes, it is Ticats Today for a Thursday, November the 17th, 2022. Thanks for checking us out on the Ticats Audio Network. Yeah, Louis Butko still here kicking it with you as we get set for Sunday's Grey Cup between the Toronto Argonauts and Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And on that topic, we are going to actually head to Regina now. As coming up later on in the show, we'll be joined by Darrin Bauming. But first, we'll get the Argos side of the story as we welcome in our friend of the show / enemy of the show. It's Mike Hogan. He's the play-by-play voice of the Argos. And Hoagie, I just want to remind you which show you are on and who our listeners are. But do want to say congrats begrudgingly on making it to the Grey Cup.
Yeah, and thank you for that. That must kill you, and it would probably kill some of the viewers and listeners right now as well. But no, it was a fun year, and there was a big part of everybody in Toronto that wanted the rematch with the Ticats, but it didn't happen. But whether or not it was Hamilton or Montreal that we defeated last week, we were really happy to do so and get out here where it's minus 427 degrees.
Classic Regina, Saskatchewan. Let's talk about the atmosphere in Toronto last Sunday. 20,000 plus, I believe 21, just right around there. What did that mean to you, who is part of this organization, to see that kind of crowd reaction to, it wasn't a lot of Ticats fans like the year before. I mean, these were Toronto Argonauts fans coming to support their team.
We made some really serious strides this year in ticketing. I know, and you can insert whatever damn attendance joke you want, but we went up 39% this year, which is substantial. And if we can do 25% on top of that next year, we're at 15,000 a game. And then it starts to look like it's full all the time. And so these are the incremental strides we're trying to make. And not only were we thrilled to see 21,300 Argo fans there, for the most part, there were some Montreal fans there, but it certainly wasn't the influx that we got from Hamilton a couple of years ago. If we were able to do that, plus the Hamilton fans, we may have sold out the building this year. Which, and the people who did go, if they weren't entertained by not only the game, but the whole experience of going to an Argo game, I don't know what we could do to bring them back, because that was just, especially when the home team wins, but it wasn't a 12-8 game. It wasn't sloppy. There were big plays from both teams. It was, the Argos got to the big lead, and then Montreal came close, and then the Argos would pull away, and then Montreal came close. It was like there was drama throughout the entire game, so people weren't bored. It was a little cool, certainly not Regina cold, but it was a little cool on Sunday. But I think for the most part, the fans left, feeling really good about the experience that they had. And now we've got to find a way to get those people to come back. Maybe not for every game, but if we get those people coming 2 or 3 games a year, plus the diehards that we got, we're moving in the right direction, man. It's a lot of work, but we're going to get there.
Yeah, listen, I know, and you and I have talked about this many times. I'm impressed by the age of the crowd, the different types of communities that come to the games. So that I appreciate all the hard work you're doing there to get people in the building. And like you said, it was a pretty entertaining game. Curly Gittens Jr. I mean, it's such a great story, because a Canadian, OUA, U Sports, 1,000-yard season, and then he comes up and makes a big play in on the biggest stage.
We do a show on TSN called Gridiron Nation. And when Curly Gittens Jr. was at Laurier, we used at least one highlight of his seemingly every week. He was incredible. So if you saw him play, you knew he could play, but could he play at the next level? And, we were astonished that he was there in the third round, like just ridiculously astonished that he was still there, and jumped all over that opportunity. And, to see his growth from a guy who couldn't get on the field in year 1 to a guy who played Z in year 2 and really brought to life that position. Don't forget that the hash marks were wider then, so Z was almost forgotten. The widest receiver out to the wide side of the field. And he put up 700 yards in a shortened season. And this year was incredible. There have been, in the last decade, 4 Canadian receivers now to hit 1,000 yards. Curly, Fantus, Getzlaff, and Sinopoli did it, I think, basically a year. But only 4 guys in the last decade, which speaks volumes of what kind of year he had. And he's only getting better. And it's hard work and dedication. He's that guy who, at practice, if special teams happen to be out there, Curly's over in McLeod Bethel Thompson's ear saying, okay, what did you see on that? Why did this work or why didn't this work? Nothing he has done is by accident. So those are the guys you really pull for. And it's a great story. Kid born in Guyana who came to Ottawa when he was like 8 and then learned how to play football essentially in high school. It's a great story. And, you know, I know that Ticat fans don't cheer for the team, but I think there are guys on Hamilton that Argo fans appreciate their story and kind of go, hey, if we're going to get beat, if it was by that guy, that's all right. And I think Ticat fans can appreciate the Curly Gittin story because it's a hell of a good tale.
And just a testament to the talent that the OUA has continued to put out. You know, Turnowski and Keandre Smith. Obviously, Keandre had a great breakout year this year. Trey Ford. I mean, really, the OUA, a great pipeline of talent. And again, I know you and I can have much longer conversations on that. Let's talk about 2 former Ticats. One in search of his very first Grey Cup, Brandon Banks. You know, I don't think anyone was expecting him to be the MOP in 2019, but can you just talk about his role on this team and how it has developed? I mean, there were some roller coaster moments for sure, some very public moments early on in the season, but I mean, where is he now and how important has he been to the success of this season?
Brandon's a passionate dude. You know that real and wears his heart on his sleeve. And he's done that this year. The Argos got him for his experience. And also as a guy that could still take the top off of defense. And we didn't see a lot this year, but, you know, when he had those moments, and he had a couple of them in Hamilton, one game where he scored the 2 touchdowns, where he looked like Speedy B. And that's why guys like him and Jagarrett Davis and Andrew Harris were so important for the Argos to get, because they got to the dance last year in terms of the Eastern Final. But, you know, you guys kicked the rear ends, and they didn't want that to happen again this year. So if there was one element missing, maybe it was that Grey Cup experience where now I did the stat. I wish I could remember it. 20 some Grey Cup games played by guys. And, you know, since the Argos haven't been there, I think the only guys left from 2017 are Mac and Declan. I think that's it now.
Wow. Yeah.
So, I mean, 5 years, it's a complete turnover. So you don't have that Argo experience in the Grey Cup, but they've gone out and got guys from Hamilton and Calgary and, you know, guys who have played in Grey Cups in other markets. So that's been a really important part of this. And you can tell, like, this is business this week. Like, they're not goofing around out here. It is, this group is absolutely wired for Sunday. And, you know, I've been around enough Grey Cups to see what teams are like going in. This team's a little bit different. This team is absolutely, we got something to do on Sunday. Let's not go too crazy out here. Then again, it helps when it's minus 30 and it,
just want to get inside.
Hotel room, play video games.
It's funny when you started talking about it. You talk about Ryan Dinwiddie getting set, or Dinwiddie getting set for his first Grey Cup, but above him, pinball. I mean, really, when pinball came in, it feels like a year and a half ago. It wasn't that long. It really has started from the top down. This group of guys that's about to get set for the Grey Cup on Sunday.
When Jim Pop was relieved of his duties and pinball came in, we had a meeting in the football ops office, and he said, what I want this team to be is the most boring team in professional. And we all kind of looked at him and say, okay, we know pinball's going somewhere with this. Where's he going with this? And he said, we have to get to the point where we do the right thing every single time, whether it be on the field, whether it be in the community, whether it be selling tickets. We have to be perfect all the time. We have to do the right thing to the point where we're boring because people expect us to be boring. And, you know, Calgary has kind of been that team for the last 1,000 years. Edmonton before that. That's kind of the bar that pinball has set here, where we have to be great every day. And, you know, when you go into the office and it's the middle of the season and you're kind of in those dog days and you got a bye week or you got a game against a Western opponent that doesn't mean as much in the standings, it's a road game. And pinball comes in and goes, hey, all right, how you doing? And gives you a hug or a high five. Like, you kind of get that little adrenaline. Okay, here, that's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's who he is, and that's who this organization has become. We follow what his lead. And, you know, people think that he's just kind of that token guy at the top of the pyramid and is there for the pinball smile. We don't have Andrew Harris without Pinball Clements. We don't have Jagarrett Davis without Pinball Clements. We don't have Brandon Banks without Pinball Clements, period, full stop. That was him. his phone calls for the most part. I was essentially in the room when we were trying to figure out if Andrew Harris was going to come. The offer was made. It was a good financial offer. Andrew was thinking about it. This was about 4:00 in the afternoon on free agency day, and Mike said, I'm just going to go make a phone call. Didn't say where he was going, went out, and comes in about 10 minutes later, and we're kind of looking, and said, who are you talking to, Andrew? And he went, yeah. What do you talk about? We didn't talk football. And then he came in, we talked for a couple of minutes, and then Mike got a text from Andrew Harris saying, I'm in. That was the conversation. Mike didn't talk to him about football at all. It was like, what can we do? Where are you as a person? What can we do? You've got a daughter. She's going to school. How can we help there? They didn't talk football. They talked about Toronto and life. And that's who Mike Clemens is.
Great story. Last one here. What's it going to take for the Argos to win this game? We don't know the status of Zach Collaros. Winnipeg has been there quite a few times as of late. I'm sure they don't see themselves. Maybe they do see themselves as underdogs, but what's it going to take for the Argos to be lifting that trophy come Sunday, 9 p.m.?
Are you ready for cliches? Are you ready? If the Argos execute, they can win the football game. That's it. But they did on Saturday, and they had their best offensive game of the season. It was well-rounded. Harris and Ouellette on the field at the same time can be really confusing for a team who hasn't seen film of that all year. Montreal had not seen Harris and Ouellette on the field all year, and Ouellette's biggest play of the game came with Harris on the field. Harris's biggest play of the game came with Ouellette on the field. So I'm really curious to see how they're implemented on Sunday against the Bombers. So the execution, and let the defense execute what its game plan as well. But here's turnovers. There's number two.
There you go.
Right. It's going to be cold. By Southern Ontario standards, it's going to be cold. And if the guys can get that out of their head and just go out and play the game, relax and play the game and hang out of the football. And same thing for Winnipeg. If somebody loses a turnover battle by 2, I think they lose the game. Period. Full stop.
Well, as somebody who has had a team at the Grey Cup that you have to cover with everything else going on, I know how busy you are, man. So I appreciate you taking some time this morning to chat and enjoy the week. And I won't say what I'm going to say, but just best of luck to both teams. And I hope. You're falling. I don't know. We lost you. I
was gonna do that.
Okay. I'm just gonna give my thumbs up to have both teams having a fun time. Hoagie, I want to have a job tomorrow, so I got to be careful what I say. Hoagie, thanks for doing this, man. Appreciate it.
And I appreciate the well wishes and the good luck and your desire to see the Argos win the 18th Grey Cup.
And my thanks to Mike Hogan for joining me, and my thanks to our next guest for joining me. It's Darrin Bauming. He is the host of Bonfire Sports, covers the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, among many other things that he does there. And Darrin, I mean, this is old news for you. All these Grey Cup appearances that these Bombers have been making as of late, just same old, eh? At the Grey Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like old hat in some ways, but in no way do I think the Blue Bombers or Blue Bomber fans take it for granted. Fans especially, they don't feel it's overkill in any way, shape, or form. They are reveling and relishing in an era of Blue Bomber football that really this fan base has not seen in a generation or two. They had the run in the 1980s with 1984, 88, and 1990. That was 3 Grey Cups, but nothing like this, where it could be back to back to back and a three-peat championship. That all said, Louis, expectations are high. This team set a new franchise record in 2022 with 15 wins, something they have never done before, regardless of length of season and the rest. They've got the league's most outstanding player expected to be named on Thursday here in the Grey Cup City in Zach Collaros. Now, his health obviously will be leading the conversation and the storylines going into Sunday's game, but everybody is expecting Winnipeg to bring their best football game when it counts on Sunday night.
I do want to talk about Zach Collaros, but let's stick with this topic here on the three-peat, because I don't hear the word dynasty as much as I thought I would for a team that's about to play for their 3rd straight. And I feel like that's by design, because when you talk to the players, they don't care about any dynasty. They just care about the next game.
Absolutely. Mike O'Shea has instilled really a mantra inside the organization. And it came out to the media. We thought it was just, cliche, like you'll hear hockey players say, get pucks deep and ensure we execute what we need to do. Well, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, we want to go 1-0 every week. It doesn't matter if it's a preseason game, a regular season finale that is meaningless in the standings, or a potential third straight Grey Cup championship game. It's been very impressive to watch that culture Mike O'Shea has developed here in Winnipeg through the last 6-7 years. And it's been very impressive to see them follow through on the things that they say. Yeah, the word dynasty is absolutely spoken about amongst fans a lot. And us in the media, when it was back-to-back championships over a 3-year span with the missed 2020 season, of course, we mentioned, of course, this could be a potential dynasty in the making. But until Sunday happens and until one of those two teams hoists the Grey Cup on Sunday, I don't know if I'm somebody that really wants to use that word. Absolutely. 3 straight Grey Cups will be a dynasty, and the first time it's been done in 40 years.
Let's talk about Zach Collaros, because if there's someone who I don't think needs to practice, it's a guy who's about to pick up his second consecutive most outstanding practice and the most outstanding player trophy. But I go back to something, Coach O has said a lot, is that you don't need your first reps guy to be getting those first team reps week up. He should know it. It almost seems like a just in case. How do you see the Zach Collaros situation as we stand about to hit the field for the practice, second stage practice?
Yeah, I'm in that exact same mindset, and I know the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are as well. They've made no qualms about it. Farhan Lalji at TSN on the television broadcast asked Collaros right after the game, "How are you feeling? How is the ankle?" "We're good. We're good," was the exact quote from the quarterback. Later, he was made available to media and sat and took questions from, the Lions and Blue Bombers media following the West Final. "How are you? How are you feeling?" He said, "Everything's good." It didn't feel good at the time. It didn't look good, obviously, jogging out onto the field after getting taped up and saying, no, okay, I'm going to go back. Let Drew Brown, the young number 2 quarterback, step in and finish this game off. But asked, should your availability for the Grey Cup be in question? He was asked this 7 days before the game, and he said, no question. We watched him walk off the plane. Yeah, he's stiff. Yes, he's walking with a bit of a limp. Yes, he missed day 1 of practice. But you're right, Louis. These guys that are veterans, they know what it's like to prepare properly. They know what it takes on and off the field. And for someone like Zach Collaros, he needs to ensure that his body is exactly how it needs to be in optimal form for Sunday. There's no reason to put any undue stress on a sore ankle or anything. It's pro football. Everybody's dealing with something. Nobody is 100%, but we fully expect not just, the Winnipeg media, but really all of the media, assembled here in the Grey Cup City in Regina, all are along the same belief that we will see Zach Collaros start and play in the 109th Grey Cup.
All right, before we let you go, Darren, what's this game going to come down to? What's the difference going to be for the team holding the Grey Cup at 9 p.m.?
Well, anytime the Grey Cup is held in a prairie city and it's potentially cold and snowy and a hard surface and the rest, here in Regina, there's been Grey Cups in years past where there's been wicked winds that have really affected the type of football played on the field. It's expected to be not too much below 0, a high of -3 on Sunday, low of -10. So I think the temperatures will be tolerable, and I don't think they'll have too much of an effect on the game. Wind gusts 25, 35 kilometers an hour, that sort of thing. That all said, I don't expect a drop in the pass game. McLeod Bethel-Thompson will try to beat the Blue Bombers with his arm. Of course, we're going to get Andrew Harris mixed in with AJ Ouellette, and Harris, of course, having that chip on his shoulder, as he always does. He's going for a third straight Grey Cup against his hometown team, where he won the last 2 with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. There's a lot of juice in that. But to me, Louis, this game will come down to who wins at the point of attack, who wins in the trenches. If Winnipeg can dictate the physicality and ball control on offense, and Brady Oliveira plays along that offensive line in Winnipeg like they did in the West Final, 130 on the ground, 6.5 yards per carry, and 167 yards combined, I think Winnipeg will continue their winning ways. For Toronto, they need to find a way to stop the run. They need to find a way to disrupt Winnipeg's offense. And ultimately, I think McLeod Bethel-Thompson, if he can get behind Winnipeg's defense and score on some big plays, I think Toronto has what a recipe would need to beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Darrin, I know every second at Grey Cup week is valuable, so I appreciate you spending a couple of minutes with me today. Thank you, my friend.
Anytime, Louis. Great to talk with you, man.
And my thanks to Darrin Bauming for joining me today, and my thanks to you as well, as we continue to appreciate you tuning in here on the Ticats Audio Network. Speaking of which, you get a brand new episode of Pay Me to Stop by Simone Lawrence, where he answers your questions. So check that out wherever you found this show, again, on the Ticats Audio Network. We'll wrap up the week and get you set for Sunday's Grey Cup tomorrow. Hope you'll join us then on Ticats Today. From all of us here, I'm Louis Butko. Hoping you have a great day.
Ticats Today can be heard every weekday, and we would like to hear from you. Email us at gameday@ticats.ca. Have a question or an opinion? We want to hear it. That's gameday@ticats.ca. Subscribe to the Ticats Audio Network on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.